As we manage our infrastructure, log files become an incredibly valuable source of information. Nearly everything that happens on a Linux system is recorded somewhere, and when something goes wrong, these log files are often the first place we turn for answers. But effective troubleshooting usually means digging through a lot of these. And that's where the challenge comes in. Modern systems generate thousands, sometimes millions of log entries, and that's why tools that are designed to help us analyze and navigate logs more efficiently can save us a great deal of effort. And today we're going to take a look at a tool that'll help us do exactly that. Hello again everyone, and welcome back to Learn Linux TV. In today's video, we're going to check out the Log File Navigator, or lnav for short. It's a really cool utility that helps us make sense of our log files, and it also helps us more efficiently browse through these log files. It's extremely helpful, and in today's video, you're going to see it in action. And one of the things that I like most about lnav is how well it performs. Even when working with very large log files, it typically uses less CPU and memory than many other log browsing tools. But performance is only part of the story. lnav also includes a number of features that make analyzing logs much easier. For example, lnav automatically colorizes log output so important messages stand out, and it allows you to jump quickly between warnings and errors. You could browse a single log file, merge multiple logs together into a unified timeline, you could filter entries to reduce noise, jump to specific points in time, and much more. It's an incredibly useful tool, and it's one that I make sure is installed on all of my important systems. And in today's video, I'm going to show you all of the basics of lnav, and by the end of this video, you'll be able to use it and add it to your tool set. I'll start by showing you how to install it, then I'll show you basic usage, and then after that, I'll show off some of my favorite features. It's going to be a ton of fun. But before we start, I wanted to take a moment and mention channel memberships. By becoming a member of Learn Linux TV, you'll gain access to exclusive perks. And by becoming a member, you'll gain access to ad-free content as well as early access to select videos. You'll also gain access to the official Learn Linux TV Discord server where you can chat with other Linux enthusiasts. But best of all, by becoming a member, you're directly supporting the channel and helping me continue on my mission of making Linux more approachable for everyone. Either way, whether you become a member or help out the channel in other ways, such as answering questions in the forums or down in the comments, I really appreciate your support. Thank you so much. Anyway, with all that out of the way, it's time to dive into lnav, so let's do that right now. So let's get started. And the first thing we're going to do is take a look at how to install lnav. Most of the time, lnav will not be a part of your Linux distribution by default, so most likely you'll need to install it. And in most cases, it's simply a matter of installing the lnav package. Currently, my footage PC is running Debian 13, which uses the apt package manager, so to install it here on Debian, what I could do is type sudo, and then apt install, and then the name of the package is going to be lnav. Now, if you're not running Debian like me or a distribution that uses the apt package manager, all you should have to do is replace apt with whatever package manager your distro uses. For example, if you're running on Fedora or Enterprise Linux, then you'll use DNF. For Arch Linux fans, you'll use Pacman, Zypper for SUSE, and so on. Anyway, what I'll do is press enter and get lnav installed. And it's already done. It's a very small package, so installation doesn't take all that long. So now that we have it installed, how do we go about using lnav? Well, the basic usage is pretty simple. All you have to do is type lnav and then the path to a log file. For example, what I'll do right now is use it against my system log here on Debian. Now, one thing to know is that you may or may not have the same log files on your system as I have on mine. That's typical. Each distribution is configured differently. So if you're following my examples verbatim and perhaps a log file doesn't exist, then all you should have to do is point lnav to a file that does exist. If in doubt, all you have to do is list the storage to your log directory, which is going to be under /var/log. And as you can see, these are the log files that exist on my system. So it really doesn't matter which log file you use lnav against, but the thing to keep in mind is that if your user doesn't actually have access to one of these files, then you won't be able to use lnav without sudo. That probably goes without saying, but I just wanted to mention it just in case. Anyway, what I'll do is view the system log with lnav, so I'll type lnav, and then the path, and we'll see what happens. Now in my case, it's probably going to fail because I doubt my local user account is going to have access to this file. And that's exactly what happened. I'm getting a permission denied error. And all you have to do is use sudo just like you would any other time you need privilege escalation. So for example, in my case, I could type sudo, and then lnav, and then the same path. But before I press enter, there's a quick tip that I want to give you guys. Whenever you forget to use sudo, you don't have to type the entire command again. What you could do instead is simply type sudo followed by 2 exclamation marks. Just like that. And this command right here is not specific to lnav, it's just a Linux tip that I wanted to give you guys as a bonus. Basically what this does is it repeats the most recent command, but it adds sudo in front of it. So I'll press enter and let's see what happens. And here we have lnav. One of the first things you'll probably notice is a colorized output, which makes logs much easier to read. In this case, important messages stand out right away. For example, warnings are typically shown in yellow with errors appearing in red. Anyway, to move through the log file, you could use the up and down keys on your keyboard to scroll. And whenever you're finished, you can simply press Q to exit. Now when it comes to viewing log files, it could take a lot of time to scroll through a bunch of entries just to get to warnings and errors. It would be a lot easier if we could jump directly to what's important. And in fact, lnav will help us do exactly that. I'll show you what I mean. And to see what that looks like, what I'll do is bring up lnav again. And now I'm back into lnav. Anyway, to immediately jump to an error, what you could do is press E on your keyboard. And as you can see, I jumped directly to the next error. And I could keep pressing E to jump from one error to the next. Now in this case, I only have 2 errors in this file, but you get the point. If you want to go backwards, meaning go to a previous error, what you could do is type a capital E instead. And as you can see, I'm now scrolling backwards. In addition, if you want to view warnings, you could do that by typing W. So if I press W, I will jump immediately to a warning, and if I press it again, I'll jump to the next warning. And just like with errors, I could jump to a previous entry by typing a capital W instead. In addition, another useful trick when it comes to lnav is the fact that you can view multiple log files at the same time. So what I'll do is press Q to quit out of lnav. I'll press the up arrow to recall the previous command, and what I'll do is add another path. For example, let's check the auth log. And in this case, I'm telling lnav to view 2 log files at the same time, so let's see what happens. And now that I told lnav to view 2 log files, the results are merged. So now when I view errors or warnings, by typing E or W, what that'll do is help me flip between warnings and errors between the 2 files. But you might be wondering, when you go to a particular entry, where is that entry actually located? Is it located in the first file or the second one? If you look at the top of the screen, you'll see that it says syslog currently. Now if I press E, watch what happens. Now I'm in the auth log. And that's pretty cool. It tells you which log file each entry is actually from. So I could go through this particular log right here and view entries from both files. And this really helps when you have a situation that involves more than one service. For example, if you're troubleshooting SSH, you might be concerned with the syslog as well as the authorization log. The authorization log might have security warnings, and the system log will help you if the SSH service doesn't start to begin with. And this really helps you put things together. When you do this, entries from both of the files are going to be displayed in chronological order. And this can be especially helpful when you're troubleshooting issues that involve multiple services, so that you can see related events from different logs in one place. We'll get back to the video in just a moment, but real quick, I have a question for you. Have you ever had a Linux system start behaving in a way that makes absolutely no sense? The logs look fine, services are running, and yet something is still broken? Well, that kind of situation is exactly why I put together a short ebook on Linux troubleshooting. Inside it, I walk through some practical troubleshooting strategies, useful command line tools, and some creative workarounds that can help you diagnose strange problems much faster. I also included some Linux life hacks that can save you some time when things inevitably break. Because, well, let's face it, eventually they will. So if you'd like to level up your system administration game and become the person who actually figures out what's wrong instead of just guessing, then you can check out the ebook using the URL that's being shown on the screen right now and is also linked in the description down below. So check out my new ebook and level up your troubleshooting skills. And I really appreciate your support of Learn Linux TV. Thank you so much. And with all that said, let's get back to the video. And also, you could search for entries as well. And you could do that by typing a /. When you do that, you'll notice at the bottom of the screen, you'll be able to type a search query. So if I'm interested in SSH, I could type SSH and then press enter. And this is going to enable me to jump directly to an entry that includes the search query. In addition to that, I could type N on the keyboard for next, and that'll take me directly to the next occurrence. And if I type a capital N instead, it'll take me to the previous occurrence. It's just yet another example of how lnav makes navigating log files much easier. Now I have a few more examples to show you in this video, but before we continue, let's take a moment to look more closely at the lnav user interface. At the very top of the screen is a status bar which shows useful information such as the current date and time. And just below that is the breadcrumb bar. On the left side of this bar, you'll see the current view, which by default is going to be the log view. And if you press your backtick key, which is typically located just below your escape key, you'll open a handy menu that'll list other available views. And for an example of that, I'm going to switch to another system that has more interesting log entries. And this one is going to be a Fedora system. Anyway, I'll press enter. And now I'm logged into my Fedora desktop. In this case, what I'll do is use lnav against the messages log. And here we see the log file. Anyway, let's see what the pretty view looks like here on Fedora. I'll press backtick. I'll change the view to pretty. I'll press enter. And check this out. And this view attempts to display structured data in a more readable format. For example, if a log entry contains structured content, such as JSON for example, the pretty view can display it in a cleaner layout so you don't have to scroll through long lines of text. And here I see a log entry from my Ansible provisioner. It's an internal tool, so it's unlikely that you'll have something like this set up on your end, but it's a good example for the pretty view. As you can see, the output is much easier to read. And what I'm going to do right now is show you the fact that the breadcrumb bar is useful for more than just changing views. So I'll activate the menu again by pressing backtick. And now what I could do is use the left and right arrow keys to move through different ways of filtering logs. For example, I could show entries from a particular time period. I could also flip between multiple log files if I want to show only one log file when I have multiple open. And also right here, I could scroll through different services that are generating messages. So if you want to filter the messages by a particular service, this is how you do it. But while we have this menu open, there is another view that I'd like to show you. So what I'll do is go back to the left. And what I'll do is show you the histogram view. It's this one right here, so I'll activate this view. And check this out. Basically, this view will show you a visual representation of log activity over time. And this makes it easier to spot spikes in activity that may indicate a problem or a system event that's worth investigating. Now on my end, this particular system is relatively healthy. I have a bunch of normal messages, but I'm not seeing any warnings or errors. But if you want to see warnings and errors by date, this is one way you could go about doing that. And again, that helps you understand the health of your server over time. And in addition to that, let's check out the timeline view. It's this one right here, so I'll press enter. And in this case, the timeline view shows a number of log messages generated by each service. So you can see that we have systemd, kernel messages, package kit, the dbus daemon, and so on. Unlike the histogram, this view counts all messages, not just warnings or errors. And when you look towards the right, notice the sections that are in green. Basically, you can consider the green squares to be meters. So for example, systemd right here has more entries, and kernel has fewer, and package kit has a number of entries as well. So the more entries you have, the more this meter will fill up. And since it's broken down by service, that makes it very useful. You can see which service is actually generating the most noise. Anyway, what I'll do right now is go back to the standard view, the log view, and show you more examples. And the next example that I'm going to show you is how to filter logs. And this can be very helpful when you're dealing with a noisy log file and you want to focus only on entries that matter. You can either show lines that contain a particular string or hide lines that match something you're not interested in. And for this example, what I'm going to do is filter output that contains SSH. And to activate that, what we'll do is press colon, and you'll notice at the bottom that lnav is expecting me to type a command. And to show only entries that contain SSH, what I could do is type the word filter, -in, and then for the search query, what I'll do is type SSH. And now I'm seeing only entries that include SSH within the output. Now this doesn't necessarily mean that I'm limited to output that's generated by SSH itself. It's going to show me entries that include my search term, and since my search term was SSH, it's going to show me anything that includes SSH. So we see SSH is included on this line, on this one, and so on. And that's very useful. If you want to reverse this and remove the filter, basically going back to seeing everything, what you could do is hold Control and type letter R. And what that'll do is reset any filter that you might have active. In addition, you could also do the opposite. In the previous example, I showed you how to filter down to only entries that include SSH, but now what I'll do is show you how to filter out any entries that include SSH, meaning you don't want to see those particular entries. And this is really useful if a log file contains a lot of noise, and maybe there's a lot of information that you're just not interested in. In that case, what you could do is type colon, and then we'll type filter, -out. And what I'll do is type SSH again, but this time what's going to happen is it's going to omit anything that matches that query. Now if I search for SSH, watch what happens. As you can see, there's 0 hits for SSH, and that's because I filtered out any entry that includes SSH, so there are no entries that include that within the output that I see right here. And again, to reset the filter, you simply hold Control and press R. Continuing, another example that I want to show you is how to follow a log file. I'm sure a number of you are already familiar with how to do that with the tail command. For example, you could type tail, and then -f, and then the path to a log file. And of course, I'm going to need sudo, so I'll add that to the front. And I'll press enter. And now what's going to happen is I'm going to see output as it's generated. And I'm sure some of you are already familiar with that. If you're not, I have a video that covers the tail command in more detail. But what I want to show you right now is how to do the exact same thing with the lnav command. And just like you see right here, there's some new entries. So again, tailing a log file is simply viewing all the log entries that happen as they happen. But what I'm going to do right now is show you the same thing with lnav. So what I'll do is type sudo, and then lnav, -t for tail, and I'll use the same log file as an example. And in the background, I just chose to restart the SSH service just to give you an example of output that's changing. But anyway, -t is a very useful option when it comes to lnav because again, that lets you tail a log file or see new entries as they're written. Anyway, as you can see, the lnav command is very useful and it's also easy to use. There's certainly more you can do with it. I just showed you some basic examples of lnav to get you started, and now at this point, you could add it to your toolset. And there's our video. lnav is one of my favorite utilities. It certainly makes going through log files a lot easier. And let me know what you thought of this tutorial down in the comments below, and also feel free to let me know what you'd like to see me produce for you guys next. Either way, thank you so much for checking out this video, and I'll see you in the next one.